LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Alex King, and today is Thursday, November the 14th, 2019. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, I've gotten away from doing the time, so I'm just going to say it's 4 o'clock New York time and let you do a little figure it out on your own. Google's good for that kind of thing, or the app mentioned on Tuesday. But wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And Alex has her ears on. The unicorn horn is lit. That means we are open for business.
Facts.
That's the way it works here on LOA Today. And, we were kind of chatting before about possible topics today. It's an unusual day in that we both have topic ideas. We both had topic ideas on Tuesday, and that turned into a tale of two topics. That was kind of unusual. But you were starting to tell me before we went on, and we kind of ran out of time here, what your topic was, and we never really got there. So spring it on me now. Tell me what the topic is that you had in mind. Cause I'm kind of
okay, so I was on, as usual, the Law of Attraction Changed My Life group, and someone had posted a picture of a statement, and I was like, really? So the statement said something along these lines. The hardest pill to swallow that I took this year was knowing that, knowing that everyone or people are going to come in your life and hurt you and desert you, and there's nothing you can do about it except suck it up.
Yeah, there's a real positive viewpoint of life right there. Mm-hmm.
Well, Debbie Downer over there, yeah.
Yeah. Very uncomfortable. And I remember seeing that particular meme, I guess he called it a conversation starter. It certainly got some conversation going.
It certainly did, yeah.
Although my conversation was short and sweet and to the point. I think it was 5 words.
It was.
But what made you think of that as a topic? What does that bring to your mind? Because
usually I see these things, but I don't comment. And this made me, I had to comment. So I was like, you know what? Yeah, I feel like it's a definitely conversation starter. So yeah, I feel like it should be talked about.
So what did you say?
I said, if that's your viewpoint in life, then no wonder people are deserting you. And I was going to add, do you not know how law of attraction works? But I felt like that was rude, so I didn't. And it's very rare that I stop and think, is this rude?
Well, I mean, I do recognize the person who posted that. And he likes to post controversial things like that. He likes to get conversations going.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure he knows law of attraction. Mm-hmm. He was just trying to basically stir up the pot a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
It's sort of the gentle version of trolling, but not really.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I didn't even check back. I mean, I was one of the first people to comment. I left my comment, and I left, and I forgot about it until you...
Same.
So I was going to ask you, did it get a lot of attention?
If I remember correctly, it was like 158 comments.
Just a little attention, yeah.
A little bit.
So it worked. He got what he was trying to do. He was trying to get people to talk about the concept of the law of attraction as we're applying it in our daily lives, and he got his wish. So I do
remember one comment where there was another woman who was like, "Oh, this happened to me this year. My daughter stopped speaking to me, and it was I was like, wow." A lot of people like to take memes and statements like that and put on that shoe, even though when nobody was talking to them.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's be perfectly honest. That's kind of what we're doing with The Grass is Greener.
Yeah, that's
really,
true.
I mean, we're setting up a scenario with some fake people who we've actually come to love and care about, but nevertheless, they're fake people, and they're living a life that has lasted 2 episodes.
Yep.
But already you can just kind of see what's going on with them, to a certain extent identify with them. People like doing that. It's just people like drama.
Facts.
They really do. Mm-hmm. And you said before the show that our 2 topics kind of merge together, and they do.
Yep.
And that was kind of what the thought process was behind my idea. My idea was to talk about the various ways that people in society in general are impacted by the law of attraction, because it affects all of us. But they either don't know about it, which is probably like 70% of the cases, or if they do know about it, they reject it. And I kind of feel sorry for them because they just set themselves up. And then there's also the people who do know about it and are trying to apply it and don't realize just how extensive it is. Because it doesn't just apply when we want to apply it.
No, it applies at all times.
Which is quite annoying. Nevertheless, that's part of what makes life so interesting.
There's also the forgetful, because I used to be like that, where I would go, why is this I forgot, law of attraction.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
My favorite way of expressing that is, oh, darn, I can't get away with anything.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, it's a topic that I think we could probably do for many shows if we really wanted to. But I thought I'd start off with something that came through. Abraham Hicks has an email list, like my Canvas has. It comes out, every day. And the one that came out today was, in my opinion, kind of tied into this. So I thought I'd read it.
Okay.
It says, the law of attraction says that which is like unto itself is drawn. In other words, that which you think in any moment attracts unto itself other thoughts that are like it. And that's why whenever you are thinking about a subject that is not pleasant, in a very short period of time, most of you, upon any subject that you ponder very long, attract enough supporting data that it does bring forth the essence of the subject of the thought into your experience. In other words, think about something that you don't like or talk about or focus on, and you're going to get more stuff that you don't like.
Yep.
Which is such a plain, straightforward concept, and yet that seems to describe virtually everybody's life that I've ever heard of. Yep. And I'll give you an example of that. A friend of mine on online there in that same group, she's one of the administrators, Jamie, posted something about it was a global warming story of some kind. Something about Antarctica is actually increasing its ice mass or something like that. And so she was passing it along as something that's, this is a positive thing, right?
Okay.
And so I normally don't click through on those, but I clicked through on that particular one just to see what the article had to say. And there was a reference in there about how all of the climate scientists are updating their models based on new information that they're getting, and they aren't quite getting it right yet, but they keep improving one variable at a time and so forth. And at one point he commented, it's working out exactly the way we expected. And I wrote down, of course it does. But here's the thing. Does he really understand what he said?
I don't think so. I don't think
he
does. That. Yeah.
No. Which is interesting because all scientists, even people who are not directly tied into physics or molecular or submolecular physics, all of them have some awareness of the factor of what's often called the observer effect. In other words, a scientist observing some condition is going to impact it by observing it.
Yep.
They're all aware of that. And yet, the moment they get involved in their research, they seem to forget that.
Wait, isn't that, what's the original thing for that? Isn't Schroeder's cat? Is that? That's
one of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. That's one of the thought experiments that helped to illustrate that point.
Right.
And I was noticing it with the climate scientists that, yes, okay, it's all working out exactly the way you expected it to. Do you realize that your expectation is driving that?
Right.
And I'm not sure they really understand that. But I see a direct correlation going on there because climate science as a science, that's probably like, what, 30, 40 years old, something like that? Something
like that.
I don't remember the term existing in the 70s. I remember it first in the 80s. It may have.
I wasn't around in the 70s.
Well, then you'll have to take my word for it, I guess.
Okay, I will. And I was a little busy teething in the 80s, so.
The 70s, it was like environmental science. That's about the only thing close to that I can remember.
Okay.
But climate science, I think late 80s was when I first started hearing that term. So the point is, it's not been around real long.
Right.
Okay? And also, I think it's fair to say that probably virtually everybody who get into climate science got into it because they heard about global warming, and so they wanted to study it some more.
Yep.
Okay? So what you basically have is a momentum generator. Right? Because everybody comes in with this idea global warming is happening, and global warming is driven by pollution, by man-made factors, and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so they go in and they start doing research, and sure enough, that's what they find.
Mm-hmm.
Which is exactly what Abraham said in today's email.
Yeah.
That is why whenever you are thinking about a subject that is not pleasant, there's one, global warming,
Mm-hmm.
in a very short period of time, most of you, upon any subject that you ponder very long, attract enough supporting data that it does bring forth the essence of the subject of your thought into your experience. Well, that's what's happening.
Right.
And it's not just, I'm not trying to pick on climate scientists, because it's across the board.
Yeah.
For instance, medical researchers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all kinds of medical research into diseases and conditions and all kinds of stuff. And no one seems to have noticed that the number of conditions and diseases has dramatically increased.
That's true. That's true. There's always something new.
It's exponential.
Yeah.
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do people who are researchers have awareness of the observer effect? Yeah.
Of course.
Do they take it into account?
Not
as well
always.
as they can? Well, they try to. They try to do it in terms of the way they handle double-blind studies and so forth.
Right.
But even there, they skip the basic fact that when you observe, you are changing the experiment. You can't really avoid that fact. You know, and
But
so
how
after
do
a
you
while,
do the experiment without observing it?
well, and that's the rub right there.
Right, right.
You really can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that basically means you always have to assume that the observer is influencing the experiment based on the observer's expectations.
I mean, true.
Right?
That's how law of attraction works.
So, okay, well that's a kind of a rough patch for any scientist to go through, because I mean, there's really not a way out of that one.
Mm-hmm.
But it does point to something from my perspective that I think kind of, it gives a different avenue that really deserves more attention. And it's a good avenue.
Okay.
Both of the things that I described were things that are generally considered unpleasant.
Right.
Climate change, diseases, and you can go through a variety of scientific fields and other fields, and almost everybody's focusing on stuff that they don't like. Psychologists focus on abnormal psychology primarily. Yes, there is some movement toward positive psychology these days, but even positive psychology is only kind of tangentially focused, because it's about how to be in a bad place and then climb into a better place. Which is good, but it's still got that orientation.
Mm-hmm.
What is sorely lacking in all these disciplines is a study of, well, in this case, health.
Right.
What's health? What are the elements of health?
Right.
How
Exactly.
do we understand health? How can we define it? How can we measure it? It's all measured in terms of disease, or in terms of climate going wrong, or in terms of astrophysical phenomena, astronomical phenomena blowing up, or it's based on stuff going wrong.
Right.
How about focusing science on what's going right? And that's going to take an entire revolution in thought for that to happen, because it basically shifts the entire paradigm about how people look at stuff. They look at stuff in terms of problems. Why? Because we like drama.
Facts.
That's really what I believe is driving the whole thing. People love drama, including
Me and my
scientists.
therapist were talking about part of this the other day. She was talking about how she's uncomfortable with the word abnormal psych.
Yeah.
It doesn't apply anymore. Like, it's mental health. Like, that's what the goal we're going for, is trying to figure it out. But, what else do you call it at this point in time?
And even at that point, it becomes sort of an oxymoron, because they call it mental health and then they treat it all about, treating diseases.
Yeah, yeah.
So they actually, all they've done is just put a nice label over something that's still a problem.
They're trying to make us feel better. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, they call them health centers instead of hospitals, but they're still full of sick people.
Oh.
Right?
It's true. Even the wellness centers, ironically.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I was telling you before the podcast, and I mentioned this to Cindy yesterday, I got my ears cleaned out. I mean, it's great because I'm hearing stuff I haven't heard in years now. But, and it's quite an experience. You were actually sharing with me that my experience yesterday, right after I got home, everything was like crystal clear and loud. It was like I would drop a spoon on the counter and go, whoosh. It would have this huge sound. You were saying, well, that's what it's like to have Asperger's. I was thinking, oh my God, yeah, that must be crazy making.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Noise canceling headphones, you can never pay enough.
I did actually get a new set of those, by the way, but that's a tangential thing. But it's an amazing thing that when you are aware in a way that you haven't been before of all the different ways we send ourselves down the negative path with our careers. I mean, it's not just science. It's not just medical science. It's the social sciences. Oh, my God. I mean, they're all about tripping up on all the negative things. I mean, economists probably live they probably live the most depressed lifestyle of anybody because all they're dealing with is horrific economic conditions.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're basing their economic models on them.
Yeah, I know.
And then they wonder why we have recessions.
So it's the negative producing negativity. Like, it's a sad situation.
Yeah. And it's true in the entertainment industry. It's true in the arts. It's true. I mean, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. And I'm hopeful that, like what we talk about here on this podcast, what others are doing with law of attraction, what others are doing with spiritual development and so forth, I'm hoping that a lot of this is going to lead to the point where people start to question the basic models we're working with. Because I really not, and by the way, I want to clarify something. I'm not saying that any of that stuff is bad. I'm simply identifying that it's there.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying it that way is, it's like Abraham says. Abraham Hicks says, you can't get it wrong, and you'll never get it done. Now, I like turning that around to a more positive term, saying that you'll always get it right, and it goes on forever. Okay,
I like your twist.
I like the twist that way. But still, either way you look at it, but the point that they really make with that first one is, well, you can't ever get it wrong. So even if you're focusing all of the time on stuff that you don't like, you're not getting it wrong. There's nothing wrong with focusing on that. So I'm not trying to say it's wrong. What I am trying to say is we're overlooking stuff that could be really great.
Right.
We're missing out on some great stuff. Because if we can find ways to spend more time focused on our work, because that's what we're talking about. This is what people do for work.
Right.
You know? If we can spend more time focused on our physical work in ways that change the models around, that change our goals, that change how we define our variables and so forth, I think we're going to end up with dramatically improved human experiences. Because we come here for the human experience.
Yep.
We come here to dive into that contrast, right?
Yep.
Well, what if we can dive into the contrast, and while we're diving in, instead of getting absorbed by the contrast, instead of getting sucked up in it and trapped in it, or feeling trapped in it, and feeling like our lives aren't improving, and we're giving our power away to others, and instead of going through all that, what if we can dive into the contrast and come, flying back out like a dolphin flying out of the water, saying, Yahoo!
Oh, the visual.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that to me is the difference between focusing solely on fixing what's wrong,
right,
and shifting our attention to identifying what's right, and what's working, and understanding why it's working, and understanding what the implications of it working are, and developing that as whatever our field of endeavor is.
I think we had something along those lines, if I remember it correctly. This was months back. We had another co-host, and this was when we were on Wednesday mornings, I believe. And she was in the UK, and she was telling us that there was something that the UK military was doing, including law of attraction, into military something. I forget what it was. Or
Kelly
the police
Pretty,
or something. Yeah, Kelly Pretty. That's who it was.
Yep, on Tuesdays, yep.
Yep. And we, they were introducing it to the military, or they're introducing it to the police or something like that, because they're starting to prove that it actually is a thing and it's actually working.
Yeah. And that's good.
One step in the right direction.
It is, yeah.
At least across the pond. I don't know what we're doing over here.
I don't even think it matters whether or not it's as a country that it's being done. I just think that it matters that some individuals are doing it. And that the more people that are doing it, the better, and that the more that the rest of us become aware of it, the better. Because the awareness makes a big difference, right? It's all about the observer effect. We are, in effect, observers of what they're doing.
True story.
You know? So wouldn't it be great if we could be observing stuff that we like?
Mm-hmm.
And if they were doing stuff that they like, and that makes them feel good?
Yeah. Well, who's to say we're not observing things that we like? We just...
Well, I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
I mean, an awful lot of people make a very strong argument in favor of being miserable.
Touché, sir.
I mean, that's basically what that meme was about.
Yep. It
right?
was. It was.
Not only am I miserable, I'm going to defend it.
Yeah. It's like, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nothing you can do. No. So clearly there's some desire. Yeah, I want to be miserable.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I deserve it or something.
Exactly. Like, my name's Debbie and I'm a downer. And that's just how life is.
Yep. Yep. Programs are available in the rear office. But, yeah. And that's what I've been thinking about a lot. I've been thinking about what happens as we shift our choices.
Mm-hmm.
Because we already know just how much we replay old stuff.
Oh, my God. Like it's my job.
Yes, right. And what's worse is we're volunteers.
Oh, so true, so true.
But we do. We constantly make the same choices over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's partly because we're creatures of habit.
Yeah, a little bit.
A lot.
And partly because we're insane and think we're going to get different results. That's really what it is.
There's actually some truth to that beyond the casual backslapping cliche there.
Yeah.
Or backhanding cliche, depending on how you look at it. But there's some truth to that, because what it's really saying is the more that we focus on it, the more we get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true.
Yep.
That's a true statement.
Yes, it is.
So, that's kind of a rambling rant I did there. But but what do you think? What I mean, I'm the one who's volunteering the stuff right now. What do you think? I know you keep saying yes to all of it, so you're agreeing with what I'm saying. But
obviously, yes.
Where does this? Where do you think this goes? What do you see happening here?
I mean, I don't see anything happening right away, just because as a society we're a little slow to move on things like this. Like that anything we can't, especially scientists, is anything they can't see or feel or prove. Although you can prove law of attraction, but you know they tend to look the other way because it's not scientific fact.
And they don't have grant money for it.
Facts.
Mm-hmm. The money drives a lot.
Yeah, sure does. But yeah, I think we're going to be slow to move on it. But I think, I don't know, even if in my generation, but it's definitely coming around. Like where we're at the point where we're having meditation time at school and mm-hmm. stuff like that, and learning how to be more mindful and things of that nature. I mean, if you're going to take out cursive and introduce core math, you got to do something to tie up the other end.
I know what you mean. Actually, I have not so much core math. Well, kind of in a way. I had some experience with that today.
Did you?
Yeah, I've been doing some study of a particular programming platform on Udemy.com, mm-hmm. and it's really, I mean, it's dry stuff. Let's be perfectly honest. Programming is just dry.
Yeah.
You know, and I can handle it in doses, but right. A couple of times today, there was one point where it was literally putting me to sleep, like driving in a snowstorm.
Oh no!
To the point where my head had fallen over, and I mean, I was in hypnotic. I was out, you know. And Louise said, "You really should take a break." I said, "Yeah, I think you're right." Yeah.
Right.
Stepped away for 10 minutes, did something else, came back. All of a sudden, it was all making sense again, you know.
Right, right.
But that makes the point, you know. You can't do it all at once. You have to kind of make the shift in doses. Yes,
definitely.
You know, so you can handle it, so you can absorb it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's also something I started doing more today. Was on Udemy, as with so many of these online courses, they do it with video presentations.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just stop the video.
Yeah.
Like, I can't take any more. I got to figure out what the heck that he just said to me.
Right.
Plus, it doesn't help he has a Polish accent.
Oh, boy.
He's a good guy. You can tell he's a very good guy. But,
right.
After a while, you kind of get tired of V's being pronounced as W's and things
Oh,
like
yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, that's not how we say it here.
It almost sounds like a TV comedy routine, the way he sometimes says some of these things.
Oh, God.
But, he'll say something and my mind will boggle because I don't quite get what he's saying, and I'll stop and I'll sit there for a minute and I'll say, well, first of all, was that in English? Yeah, I think it was in English. Second, what did he actually mean by that?
Right.
And if I can't figure it out, then that's when I take my 10-minute break, because that means my brain is fried for that moment.
Right.
I'll come back,
Yeah.
And I'll come back and I'll play, oh, that's what he meant. Oh, cool. Okay, I got it.
As long as it all makes sense when you get back. And you don't have to, rewind and start from scratch.
But that experience of basically boggling your mind periodically, I think that's really what's slowing the whole thing down. You described how it's going to take some time. I think that's where the time's coming in.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
The mind is boggled. People get boggled by this stuff. I mean, so many people don't even know it's an issue. So that alone's a problem all by itself.
Right.
And for those who do know it's an issue and who have some feeling that it's important to make progress along this line, they're still faced with, I have to shift my own thought process.
Yeah.
Shifting thought processes can be tiring.
Mm-hmm.
It can wear you out pretty quick, depending on how much resistance you got built up inside.
Oh, preaching to the choir, man.
You know exactly what I mean. Yeah. I mean, the example that comes to my mind quickly is something that I've told many times on the show, and it came up in conversation with Louie, I think, on Monday, about how I'd injured my ligaments in my knees and healed them. And the process of shifting my perspective so that I could convince myself I wasn't feeling any pain in the knees for like a split second. Mm-hmm. That alone was exhausting. I mean, literally, after doing that for about 20 minutes, I had to take a 5-hour nap. I mean, I was really that tired. That's how hard it was. I had so much resistance built up that it just knocked me right out.
Yeah. Maybe I need to just working on some resistance so I can get a nap in.
Well, it's an extreme example. I mean, most things aren't going to be that difficult. But if there is something, that you got resistance built up on, yeah, that can happen. It just depends, and it's going to be different from person to person. How much resistance?
Yeah.
You tell me how much resistance you have, I'll tell you how long it's going to take. It's like the question: how long is it going to take for me to get the money that I've been asking for? Well, and I'll tell you the answer.
Oh my God!
So yeah, it's a challenge. I think, though, I mean, you mentioned how your generation is making some progress. I think that's true. I think the next generation, generationally, you can tell it keeps getting better and better. Mm-hmm. I mean, I look back over the generations that preceded me, and I can definitely see the improvement.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I can see it going forward as your generation and future generations are coming in. It's pretty clear. The overall long-term trend is up.
Yeah, agreed.
Don't sell yet.
Right.
Keep buying.
Oh.
But, so I think the long-term trend is good. Of course, as we're living our lives, we want to have the full experience during our lifetimes. I mean, maybe our generation is going to figure it all out, but that doesn't mean we want to just settle for, I guess I got to throw in the towel. Kill me next month, I'm done.
Yeah, I'll be back. After I'm done with the celestial plane, I'll be back.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 4 or 5 generations down the line, I'll come in. Right.
Right. Exactly.
No, we want to live now.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for, right?
Exactly.
So, I mean, I guess that's why we do podcasts, to talk about, what strategies can we follow to feel better about stuff, make the shift in our personal lives, and understand things better, shift our thinking. Understand how the thinking process works, understand how the feeling and imagination process works, and all that. Yep. That's all good stuff.
Agreed.
So, I guess that's the end of my rant. 30 minutes into it, that's pretty good.
Oh, man. Any word from the peanut gallery?
The peanut gallery is actually kind of quiet. Our live streamers, Jeffrey said hello, and Elizabeth is tuned in. She gave us a little pictoid of herself and a little symbol saying hello. So, hello.
Oh, yeah.
But no, they're surprisingly quiet. I don't know. I think Jeffrey's on hiatus or something, because he's usually got like 25 things in by now. But
you're right.
But not today.
It's like I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's checking in. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, well, let's go back to the meme that you were responding to earlier, because that's the other topic. It's sort of the subtopic, or this was the subtopic of that. I'm not sure which, but they're sort of like subtopics of each other. Yeah. So, I think we can safely say that the person who posted it was just trying to stir the pot a little bit. It wasn't really what...
Well, now I feel better knowing that, though.
Why is that?
Because, and then I don't, because there are, obviously in the comments, there are people who are like, yeah, that's exactly how my life is. And I'm like, so sorry. But this is what you created, though. Like, do you know what page you're on?
Apparently they do.
But, well, then they're not following enough posts to realize, or, I don't know, not doing their research and not realizing how it works, if that's your lifescape right now.
Or maybe this is their learning curve. Maybe they're at this point on the curve, right?
True. And maybe reading through the comments is what's going to change it.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Although I think it's more likely that they're going to gain ground by not so much reading what the other comments say, but by posting their comment, seeing what kind of response they get from that, and kind of going within and asking themselves some basic questions.
Mm-hmm. If they get any responses, because some people are like us, and we're like, do I care this much? Sorry, not sorry.
Even those people are getting exactly what they're looking for. They may not realize that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the person who is constantly ignored, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what are they looking for? They're looking to be ignored again. They don't mean it that way, but that's what they're looking for.
Sometimes I feel like they do mean it that way, because that way they can play the victim and be like, well, nobody likes me.
Sure. Yeah.
See, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just prove my point, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Life is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Facts. Facts.
Or maybe it's a series of self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah, I would say definitely that. Yeah. Because it's not just one.
Not just one, no. No, it's much more complex than that.
Right.
That's why they call them complexes.
Oh, my Lanta.
Oh, yes. It's fun. Well, actually, I guess that's what we're doing with, like I said before, with The Grass is Greener. Mm-hmm. We've been setting up straw men. That's what characters are.
Are we?
Yeah. That's what characters are. They're straw men. They're artificial, invented people who play out little roles like puppets for us,
Yeah, but it also, like, when you become attached to the characters, that's when you know your series is good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. That's what you keep hoping for. And
right.
We still haven't grabbed the way I wanted to grab, mainly because most people haven't even heard of it.
Right.
They aren't even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction, interesting thing. I'm curious what your take is on this.
Okay.
The reactions that I'm hearing from people who know LOA is that they love it. Daniel gave us a reaction like that on Tuesday. He heard the first episode, and once he got past the traffic accident, he loved it.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting reaction all by itself.
Yeah.
But I can't say I've gotten a whole lot of response from people who are not LOA people.
Yes, because best friend Matt is not LOA. My goddaughter is also not in. Well, I don't know if she's into LOA. I don't think so. She's only 16. She wouldn't. And Richie, although he's a part of it, is definitely not into LOA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's Miguel. Okay.
Yep.
So what's their view of it? How are they seeing it so far?
Well, him and his whole family love it. So, but they're taking it as like a Grey's Anatomy sort of feel, where there's, they're doing it, they're getting it for the drama. They haven't noticed the element just yet, which is good, because that means we're hooking people, and then we're going to sneak it in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How about, who else did you mention? You mentioned 3 people.
I mentioned best friend Matt and then
Matt.
Yeah.
How about Matt? What's the deal with him?
He's very anti everything. So like like he thinks LOA is like a religion. So if he's anti-religion, he's an atheist, so he doesn't want any part of it. But he does support me, and he does listen to the podcast. Hi, Matt. And
well,
so...
Hey, Matt, if you're listening to the podcast and you don't buy into any of this, I'm really very grateful. I mean, that's...
Right.
Seriously, that means we're doing something right. Because,
And
I mean...
a subscriber, so...
You blipped out for a second. What was it you
Yeah,
said?
you did too. Okay, we're back. I said he's also a subscriber, so that's good too.
That's fabulous. That's really fabulous. But what you say, I mean, you said he doesn't like anything. So does that mean he likes something and that's unusual and that's something he likes with the podcast, or he doesn't like it and that's normal, or what does exactly that mean where the podcast is concerned?
He's very hard to please. So yes, he likes he likes the grass is greener.
Okay.
And he has some issues with sound, but that's because he's an editor. So I'll
he's
give
not
him
the
that.
only one.
Yeah, I know.
Let's be honest. We definitely have had sound issues. There's no doubt. We're trying to get better at it. The second episode, I think, was a big step forward, but
Yeah.
we got a ways to go.
Well, also the problem we're having too is, and he had mentioned this, is he's like, I'm just gonna wait till the whole season is done, and then I'm just gonna binge everything. Everybody binges now, so people are just they're not into the one episode a month thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, one episode a month is actually too little, really.
It is.
Because that's hard to hold anybody's interest.
Right.
I mean, we got to kind of step up our game a little bit. Well, actually, I can't even say one episode a month. It was one episode every 4 months.
Right.
To be perfectly honest.
We ran into some issues, and now we're running into another one with my laptop not working.
Just a few. So, I mean, if we get the third episode out after a month, that'll be like a 66% improvement. I mean, it'll be dramatically improved, but still not good enough. You know.
We're working on it. We're working on it.
By the way, how's the script coming? I haven't asked you in a while.
It's coming along. Hold on. I said it's coming along. I was interrupted by my laptop acting up, but I'm working on it. Yeah.
But it's coming. Okay.
It's coming.
Right.
It'll be here.
Okay. Good. All right. But yeah, I agree with him. There are sound issues. I mean, Matt, if it makes you feel any better, the two things that we did with the second episode to really improve things is we moved away from MP3 files, and if you're a sound guy, you know what kind of issues there are with MP3 files. And secondly, we're playing more with the full range of stereo, so it sounds like it has a little bit more volume to it. And I don't mean loudness volume, I mean space volume.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I told him, I was like, the second episode definitely sounds better, and you'll appreciate it.
Yep. Definitely has some room for improvement, and it will always until we get to the point where we're so successful that we can afford to buy studio time and knock out all the unwanted background sounds that creep in from time to time and so forth.
Right.
I mean, that's just part of doing it the way we're doing it. And,
yeah, dogs and pigeons and
all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
All the animals.
It was a great thing. Most people, I'm sure, never heard it. It would be hard to hear it with all the background sounds we built in. But in the first episode, right after the car crash, where Bill comes in and has the quick conversation with Nance, Bill, the guy who played Bill, was when you play just his recording, you hear all these bird sounds in the background.
Oh, right.
We had so much traffic noise going on that you couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
But if you really listen, you're like a bird. They're like, where'd that bird do there?
Oh, man.
Oh, it's fun. But, well, thank you, Matt, for tolerating it. And then hopefully you'll do a binge listen and you'll tell us all the things we did wrong and tell us also if they like it.
I'm just going to yell at him until he listens to the second episode because I need to know what he thinks.
Okay. Well, that's a strategy, too.
Yeah. I'm like, no, we're not going to wait a year to binge it. That's what we're not going to do.
And you did tell us previously about the 16-year-old that she was into it, which is great.
Navanish, yes.
Has she heard the second episode yet?
I sent her the link the day that we dropped it. I sent it to her on Instagram, and she said I haven't heard back from her, but she said she was listening to it right now as she's writing her English paper. So,
okay.
So I'm actually going to hit her up today and see, I did say, I was like, your dad is getting better every episode.
Yeah, and he is. He's definitely improving, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, he says he feels more comfortable in his skin now.
Yeah, well, you could tell that in the recording session. I mean, he was kind of hitting it each time.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing we really have to work on with him is cutting down on the room echo effect. But if we can do that, it'll be great,
Speaking of which, do you see my new blankets on the wall?
I see that, yes. Not only is it aesthetically pleasing background, but it's sound deafening or sound deadening background. So that's
yes.
very,
$5 and Five Below. I live at Five Below.
Hey, everything that cuts down on room echo, I love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Till we get to the day where it's all just silent background. Every improvement is a good improvement.
If it's all just going to sound like noise canceling headphones, it'll be fine.
That would be good.
That'd be ideal for me.
Yeah, if we can do that, that'll be good.
But it doesn't have to be too quiet where it's creepy.
I actually got myself some noise canceling headphones. Oops, there goes my video. As soon as I try to show it to you. Can't even get my mouse back. Okay. There. So there's my... it just won't stay. So there's my new noise canceling headphones.
Oh, we almost have the same ones.
They're similar. They're very similar. Yeah. But I was listening to episode 2 through them as a way to test them out because I just got them a couple days ago. Mm-hmm. And not bad.
Agreed.
I mean, I could still hear the stuff that I don't want to hear, but not bad overall. I mean, it was definite improvement. So.
Well, from a non-editor point of view, I enjoyed episode 2.
Oh, good.
Sound quality was way better.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Are we moving the episode along quickly enough, do you think? I mean, I'm trying to keep it paced.
I think,
at a rate that keeps going.
Yeah. I think now that we didn't put a time limit on ourselves, it's a lot smoother and a lot better. Because I remember the first episode, we were like, it's got to be 22, 25 minutes. Because PJ put that pressure on us. She was like, people won't listen for a certain amount of time, so it's got to be under this time. And we were like, oh, God, the pressure.
You know what's really wild? Once we took away that pressure, you know how long the actual episode came out, not counting commercial messages and intros and outros and so forth?
22 minutes.
22 minutes.
Hashtag 22 minutes.
So all you have to do is just take the pressure off and it works out fine anyway.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that's what we wanted. So there we go.
What we wanted. Mm-hmm. So let's see, what else is happening? You know, I asked this question on Monday and on Tuesday. I think I asked it to you guys. Yeah, I asked you guys. And I remember that I was kind of floored because I stunned Dan with the question, I think. He wasn't used to it. Because I asked you guys, what's going right in your life.
His faces are priceless, though.
And he just kind of sat there looking.
He was like, ooh, good question.
It was great.
Oh, man.
Well, it illustrates the point.
Yeah.
We don't spend as much time as we should. And I say should, not morally. I mean, in terms of improving our ability to be deliberate creators. Mm-hmm. We don't do it as much as we should if we want to get better at this stuff. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, one way to do it is to start counting the blessings, to start focusing more on what's going right. Yeah, you gotta be grateful for every little thing you have and every little thing you brought into your life. I talked earlier about how my ears got cleaned out and I can hear better. That's a good thing. I like that one a lot. I'm hearing stuff I hadn't heard. Yeah, I'm loving that. But that's more of a major one because you don't do that very often. That's pretty unusual. Well, maybe you should do it more often. Interesting you should say that because I asked I was talking to the ear doctor and he said, when was the last time you had something like this done? It was like 21 years ago when we got into a car accident, and that part of the car accident was getting stuff checked out. Yeah. And I actually got the ears cleaned out at that point, and that was the last time. And I said, but I was pretty good until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then I started noticing buildup again. He says, oh, well, there you go. Just wait another 17 years before you contact me. Apparently. Wow. When was the last time you heard a doctor say that? Never. He also had another good line, too. I'll throw this in as an aside. He said he thinks it's in one sense, I mean, he's grateful for being in business to have people come into his practice and so forth. But he says it's kind of weird to have people coming in to get their ears cleared because, our species have survived for millennia without ear cleaning and without Q-tips. Right. Which apparently we're not even supposed to be using, but then why? Exactly. Well, and I said that to him. He says, "Of course not. That's smaller than your elbow." So that's the rule that they follow. Anything smaller than your elbow, you don't put into your ear. What? You ever heard that one? No. Oh yeah, they've been teaching that one for decades now. That's like the standard line. So what's bigger than your elbow that you can fit in your ear? Like what? Well, nothing actually. That's okay. All right, I get it. Took me a second. Yeah, I mean, the size of the ear is that big, the elbow is that big, so there's nothing that's going to fit. Got it. Okay.
So then why are we making AirPods and earbuds?
Well, I'll take that a step further. Why is it that when they gave me the hearing test afterward, they did it using earbuds?
Right. They should be using.
They had just cleaned out the ears,
and they're putting stuff right back in.
I guess we argued that
colonoscopy.
It was a medical professional who was doing it, so that makes it safe, I guess.
Oh, okay. We just got through talking about how people are a little behind.
Well.
Oh man, I don't know.
That's true.
I watched my mom get her ears cleaned, and it was I could not stop laughing at the suction.
Well, they don't even. This guy didn't even use that.
Oh, what did he use?
He used this thing. Look, it was shaped like an elbow, actually, but it was small enough to fit in the ear, and he can see through it and so forth. And he puts it in, and he starts turning it, and of course the earwax starts making all this weird noise while he's doing that. And he's actually pulling the earwax out with it.
Oh, gross!
It takes like 30 seconds, and it's done.
Wow.
It's not like because apparently they've learned that irrigating the ear actually has more potential counterproductive effects than they would like. So they try to avoid using irrigation as a way to clear the ear out. Mm-hmm. But it's also pretty strange because, I mean, you know what it's like even when you're getting your ear irrigated. You get the water pouring in.
No, never had it done.
To your ear, and you feel like you're underwater, all that kind of thing. So you have that kind of a weird sound going on. In this case, it's a weird sound of like the wax being turned in your ear as it's being corkscrewed out.
Oh, that sounds so gross.
It's indescribable. There's no way to say what that sounds like.
Oh my god.
But when it finally comes out, it's like, whoa, what just happened?
I've had
very, very strange.
The wax candle. It's not a wax. It's like wax paper that they make a cone out of, and then they light it, and then it sucks all the wax out of your ear.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had that done.
Okay.
And I was like, and then you get to unfold the wax cone and see how much wax is in your ear.
No, that's gross. I'm sorry.
I'm
not interested in that.
How was I even hearing?
No. See, at least with this method, you don't even see it. It just gets disposed of immediately, and it's not even a topic of a conversation anymore.
Yeah, so. I agree. But I'm like that weird kind of like I kind of want to know, but I don't want to know. Like,
see, that's the drama side. That's the dramatic side.
Yeah, it's like I want to see it, but at the same, it's like when you blow your nose and you want to make sure.
No, please, no.
You got to make sure you don't have the flu, so you got to check and see if it's green.
Oh God! You had to go there. Okay.
Sure did. It's for the listeners that are not visually seeing us. You know, I gotta paint the picture.
I'm hoping that they continue to be listeners after that one. To be perfectly honest.
I hope so too. We're like this every week.
Well, especially since we're doing so well with this. I've told you that we're getting an increase in listenership, and that's been pretty substantially.
I've been seeing the increase on the Facebook page.
Yep.
It's up near the 500s. I like that.
Yeah, it's doing really well. We're averaging about 500 per episode right now when I combine the podcast numbers with the YouTube numbers. Mm-hmm. And, well, no, that's wrong. It's averaging about 425 right now if I average those two together. But if I look over, say, the last 15 days or so, 20 days, which includes that week where we had 3 days off because we lost shows, despite that fact, we're still averaging really high numbers for that period.
Nice.
On the order of like 650 listens per day across the board. Now, that's not per episode. That's like all of them across the board. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't quite work out to 650 per episode. It works out closer to the 400 per episode. Mm-hmm. But still, even with those outages, I mean, people are listening. So we'll try to keep the nose blowing to a limited amount,
I mean, I do take time off when I have a cold just for that purpose.
This is true. And we're very appreciative of that. After that wonderful pick-me-up thought process, I think maybe this is the time to invite people to become subscribers. What do you think?
I agree.
Because we have a very peculiar sense of humor.
Yep.
But for those of you who are not yet subscribers and haven't been completely turned off by this, we do want to invite you to become a subscriber. And very simple to do. Dan proved it to us. He told us on Tuesday that he was able to subscribe in one click. I was so impressed by that.
Yep.
I was really impressed. That was great. You just go to the homepage of our website, loatoday.net, and it guides you right through it. I usually say 3 to 4 clicks just to be safe, but to be honest, I hadn't counted in a while, so no, it's good.
Yeah, we're down to the easy button now.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. So be encouraged. It's very easy to do. You do get 5 shows a week. All the shows are different. They don't usually involve nose blowing, and, it's a good thing. And if you can tolerate looking at all this on video, how do they find us on video?
Okay. If you want to go to YouTube and search LOA Today podcast videos, and once you see our smiling faces, down below there is a red subscribe button. Click that button, and next to it there is a silver bell. Click that bell and make sure you hit all so you will always be notified when we're live.
You have that down to a T. I mean,
I do.
You're good at that, girl. You're good at that.
Thank you.
Oh. All right, so we need to sum up. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff, as we usually do.
Right.
Although, I have to say we were more focused than we often are, so that's a good thing.
Yep.
But what are some of the takeaways? All
right, some of the takeaways. Society is slow, but we're working on it.
Concise and to the point.
Yep. Baby steps. We're going to get there.
Yep. That's pretty much it. And if we go into a little bit more detail, we're all learning. Yeah. I mean, everybody's learning in a different way. Everybody's learning to different standards, to different goals, dreams, aspirations. Some people want to be victims. Some people want to climb out of victimhood. Some people were never there. Some people wonder what a victim is. Yeah. It varies. But everybody's still learning. So even if we aren't seeing the kind of progress individually we want to see all the time, it's still there.
It is.
So if we just look for it, if we recognize that, okay, maybe that's not playing out exactly what we had in mind, but we don't have to stay focused on that. We can always look for the part that's working well. And the more that we notice what's working well.
Focus on the silver lining.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, those silver linings are good. And once we focus on them, an amazing thing happens. We get more silver linings.
Right, yep.
Right?
Yep.
And who knows? Maybe this podcast actually reached a few medical researchers. Maybe it reached a few people in climate science. Maybe it reached a few social scientists. Maybe it reached some people who said, you know what? Maybe my industry needs a little bit of a shakeup. Maybe I'll rattle some cages and shake things up and say, let's focus on what we'd like for a change. And maybe I'll even get to keep my job after I say that.
Maybe the grant won't run out.
That's right. Yeah. No, but the point is that any little step like this helps. And just even talking about it helps get it out there. Energetically, it gets it out there, right? Somebody's going to pick it up, even if it's not somebody who's a listener. That's something that Linda's taught me a lot, that when you put out any kind of energetic vibration, preferably one that you like, a positive one. Yeah. But when you put something out, it doesn't go to waste.
No, it doesn't.
Somebody, often more than one somebody, benefits from it. So you can't really lose.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's like I was telling my boyfriend the other day, he was having a bad day, and I was like, don't even sweat it, because nothing bad happens to the people around me. So that's just it. Once you start believing that, you'll be fine.
You have some very strong beliefs.
I do.
We've been doing a show together for a year now, and I've known that for a while, but it's really become like perceptually obvious to me in the last week or so. You have really strong beliefs.
I do.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think I'm going to say the proof is in the pudding.
Meaning what?
Meaning like that I believe these things because they have happened.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just have a whole lot of reinforcement.
Yep. Basically.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, that's what works. So that's a good thing. Before we go, we got a few minutes left. Any spoilers going on? Anything going on in the world of drama, of television and movies?
I am a little behind on my shows. Let me see. What did I have this week? Oh, Disney Plus dropped this week.
Uh-oh.
Everyone's excited about that. I mean, there were a couple of technical issues because it premiered at like 6 a.m. and then I guess everybody was trying to sign on, so like nobody could sign on.
Oops.
Yeah, 10 million people have started streaming Disney Plus on the same day. So
which shows how powerful that brand is. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they have a grand total of 4 series.
No, they have everything. Everything.
No, but I mean new original series. I don't mean.
No, I don't know because just the Disney Channel alone had already premiered 5 or maybe 6 TV shows that they said, "Oh, here's the first episode, but to catch the rest of the series, you got to go to Disney Plus."
Oh, no kidding. Oh, okay.
So that's just the Disney Channel alone. That's not counting all the Marvel TV shows. That's not counting, the Star Wars TV shows and all that stuff. So, yeah.
See, well, you're proving the point that I made earlier. You can't just go on whatever that one bad thing is that you heard. I heard this one thing, it didn't sound so good. You say, no, apparently not. There's more information out there that you weren't getting the first time around. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a good example of it. All right, well, congratulations to Disney. I hope they get their technical issues ironed out so that, people can actually watch the show.
Oh, they got it ironed out. Yeah.
They did. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it was in like 2 hours. Everybody was back online.
Well, 2 hours is almost an eternity online these days.
It is, but also it premiered at 6 a.m. So like, people were really thirsty if they were up at 6 a.m. trying to watch Disney Channel.
and well, I mean, these days most everything is recorded anyway. So is this like for the live stream portion, and then you can replay it later on? Is that the way it's working, or
well, it's basically Netflix, but it's Netflix, but with the Disney Fox products. So
okay. Yeah. So it's Netflix with little mouse ears on.
Yes and no, because I also a friend of mine was watching Endgame, which is the last in the Infinity series, and apparently all the deleted scenes are in this version of the movie. So you get bonuses like that.
Oh.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and then you also get all the old TV shows that used to be on Disney. So like my entire generation is like, oh my God, Lizzie McGuire.
How far back does it go? I mean, do you have like the Mouseketeers? I mean, how much they got there?
I haven't seen it myself. I haven't been on my Fire Stick to double check, but I don't know. People are reliving the 90s right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all I can say is Walt would be proud. He hasn't been around on this planet in physical form in about 60 years, something like that.
Isn't his head still here?
I won't even go there. But the point is that in physical form, he hasn't been here in quite some time, and look how much it's just taken off. I mean, it was taking off during his lifetime. Don't get me wrong; it did incredibly well. It blew the socks off people as to how well it did during his lifetime. But since then, my goodness, amazing. Of course, my parents' generation would still not approve of it, but that's
well, my parents' generation is cool with it.
Well, that's good. That's good. But anyway, well, thank you very much. We have survived the technical glitches and so forth, and hopefully get those ironed out in the near future. But thank you for we actually had 2 topics that worked together, so thank you for. I don't know how we did that. We just came up with.
We do it how we always do it, man.
Well, we just got to do more of it. That's all.
Yep, exactly.
So thank you much. Thank you to live streamers. Thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody. How many times did my video go out in the middle of that thing?